Well, we are back in Mexico for more dental work. If you remember, 6 months ago, me and Cameron came down here. I actually needed a little bit of work that I didn't even know I needed. I thought I just had a cavity, ended up needing 2 root canals and 2 crowns, and poor Cameron needed an entire mouth worth of work. This time we are staying at Hard Rock Cancun, which is right down the street from the dentist office. Last time we stayed in a condo and we prepared our own meals. This time we decided, you know what, we're gonna treat ourselves a little bit, stay in a nice hotel that will prepare meals for us. So we've already talked to the chef, and when meal times come from now on, he will have soft food. So last night was our one day to really enjoy the resort here, and we went and had a nice teppanyaki dinner. It was really good. Anyway, also, it's not just Cameron this time. Cameron needs extensive work. Colby needs a little. And we figured, why not bring both the boys down and take care of anything that Colby needs as well. So now the boys do both have dental insurance through their jobs, so they can have all this done in the US. But Cameron, with as extensive work as he needs, it is definitely still cheaper here in Mexico to do it. And we don't know exactly what Colby needs. Hopefully it's not too much. But again, we're here on a family vacation / dental trip, so we're gonna get him taken care of too. By the way, if you missed that first dental trip, I will link it down in the description and the pinned comment so you can see our first journey and where we started with all this.
I'm back at it again. I'm here to get more dental work done. Last time I had about 15 crowns, 4 or 5 root canals, and 3 teeth extractions. Now I'm here getting my crowns redone to get fitted for my permanents, and I'm getting my implant rods from the 3 teeth that were pulled.
Let's see that smile right now. And where were you when we started?
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
So Colby, what are you expecting this week?
I'm not expecting nearly as much as Cameron went through, but I'm expecting like 8 fillings, maybe 2 crowns, and like at least, I know a while ago I needed like 3 root canals, so I'm expecting at least 3 root canals.
Ooh, that many?
It's 1 to 3, depending on how well they are. My old dentist said that I was going to need at least 3 root canals, so maybe here they can get a second opinion on it, and I won't need that many.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
We'll report back. Just a note, Cameron and Colby have had some teeth dental issues from day one. Even when they were toddlers, I remember they were probably 2.5, 3 years old when no child should have dental problems. And a lot of their molars were in very bad condition, and they had to have crowns put on when they were babies. I mean, they were so little having to have this done. So there's something, I don't know if it's because they're twins, if they didn't get, something in your utero that finished their teeth. I don't know what it is, but it's not poor dental care. Okay, we'll be honest, when they were teenagers, they probably didn't brush their teeth like they should have, but because they were having these problems as babies, as toddlers, there's some underlying issue that we don't know exactly what it is, but there's more to it than just teenagers not brushing their teeth well. I just wanted to make that clear. Me and Jason have been on top of their dental care since they were children. It's just something that has been a problem their whole lives. But we're going to get it all taken care of. Okay, so we did not do a recap last night because everyone was tired and just went to bed. So this morning, before we head back to the dentist, let's see what all the boys had done yesterday. Okay, Cameron, what happened yesterday?
A lot of fun, I'll tell you that much. So right now, I have temporary crowns. They're ugly, they're very uncomfortable. This is what I call horse teeth. What they did is, I had crowns on before, and how they do it is, since I had them in for 6 months, it wasn't like a temporary fix. No, it was cemented on. So how they had to get them off is they had to drill the tooth, split it in 2, take a chisel and put it in between and twist it. So it would crack the tooth off, or the crown off, exposing the real tooth. And then after they did all that, then they put this on me. Today we're going back to get my actual teeth. My permanent crown, zirconium and porcelain.
So today's going to be a lot of work, but we're going to see some real progress today.
Yes. And then, unfortunately, they told me that my implants cannot do, because they told me themselves, and I like this about them. They said it will fail on me in the future, and it's not something they want to see fail. A bridge is different. It just holds the teeth. There's nothing going on. An implant can really screw up, so they told me the best course of action is to do the bridge. So either today or tomorrow, they'll be crowning my back molar to put a bridge on these major molars.
Oh, and I had something to say too. So we spoke to our oral surgeon in Louisiana, who we've been going to for, issues in our mouths. And Jason actually recently had to have a lower molar pulled. He's just had problems with that tooth and it had to come out, and he's going to get an implant. And so the question was, well, do we, come to Mexico for that, or do we do it at home? And his oral surgeon was saying, that there's, some dentists in Mexico will put an implant in even if it's not a viable place. So the fact that they came to Cameron and said, look, we planned on doing implants for you, but your jaw is not going to hold them. It's going to fail. That tells us that this is a good dentist here in Mexico. And, we knew that from our last visit here, but just that is some confirmation that we received, from a local U.S. dentist telling us something to look out for, and then us getting that confirmation that we do have a really good one here. All right, Colby, let's see that smile. Look, his teeth are yellow. He got a whitening yesterday. What all happened yesterday?
So yesterday, when my whitening, I had years of plaque buildup, so they had to basically a jackhammer, I assume. I think it vibrated slightly left or right, and just went over and chipped off all of the plaque buildup on all of my teeth. But the downside of that is that now I have a bunch of cavities that are exposed. They were gently covered by a plaque buildup. Luckily, in America, I would have to wait a month of dealing with this before I can go back and they actually work on those fillings. I leave in like 45 minutes to go get those fixed. So
I love that.
I only have to deal with it for one day. And the sensitivity, even then, I told them that my teeth were sensitive. And she said, is it sensitive or is it pain? And I said, well, both. And she said, how bad? I'm like, on certain points, it's like pins and needles. It feels like a sharp pain going into my face. She gave me a special type of toothpaste, which I used this morning. It helped relieve some of the sensitivity. It's so good. They let me put in my earbuds, and when the pain got so unbearable, they were willing to just stop the process. And they were like, okay, let's put it on hold. Let's make sure that you're comfortable before we continue. Luckily, even though I stopped the whitening staining process about 3 or 4 minutes early, I still got the result that they wanted. They were trying to push for A2 instead of A3. My teeth were at A4. So they wanted to go 2 levels cleaner, and luckily they were able to do that with, success. And I go back in, like I said, 45 minutes to go get some crowns and some fillings done.
All right, we got a rude awakening yesterday too. So the first thing they do is a full evaluation. They did a panoramic x-ray of Colby, and then they did individual x-rays all through his mouth so we could get a clear picture of the damage that he had. What infuriates me is we've been using a local dentist for over 10 years. The boys have been going to him since they were little, and we never had the warm and fuzzies about this dentist, and we don't feel that he liked kids and didn't want to work on kids, but he was the only dentist that accepted our insurance, so we didn't have a choice but to go to him. He's literally the only dentist in our entire city that took our insurance. But come to find out, they showed us on the x-rays that Colby had a crown that wasn't sealed properly. 2 crowns, he's over there, 2 crowns that were not sealed properly. So because they weren't sealed properly, food was getting trapped underneath that crown, which was creating decay, more cavities, more problems. And then there was another space where fillings had been done where crowns should have been done, and the fillings were literally like 2 teeth, and he ran 1 filling together, so there was no way to floss in between those 2 teeth. I'm just like furious thinking about the improper dental care that Colby has been receiving since he was a kid. And I mean, you know, I don't know what to question my dentist. I don't see these x-rays. He just does his little bite wing and says, okay, this is what you need. And you trust your doctors and your dentists that they're going to do what needs to be done so that you've got proper care. And literally seeing it in black and white, seeing these x-rays of what was done wrong in his mouth, and the fact that if these things would have been done right from the beginning, there's 4 teeth, at least 4 teeth that wouldn't need to be touched right now. But because those were not done correctly, that's 4 additional teeth that need drilling, fillings, crowns on them that should have been taken care of already. Anyway, that's my little rant for the day. He's ready for his appointment. Cameron's already there. We're rolling. We're getting all this done this week. And I love, like Colby said, that when you come down here, everything happens at once. So you're here for a week and you get everything done in the week. You know, he's got 8 teeth, I think, that need serious work on them. And if you were at home, that would be 8 separate appointments for the most part. Maybe they could do 2 teeth here or 2 teeth there, but it would be a lot more, you know, taking off work, going to the dentist, and then, you know, the cost is obviously a lot more. Okay, anyway, time to roll.
We hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos to come.
Dental update day 3. Yesterday, we're doing these updates in the morning because they're just really not feeling like talking to the camera in the evenings after the dental work has been done. So yesterday was the roughest day for both of them. Last night they stayed in. I got them mashed potatoes from the restaurant. They watched TV and they rested. It doesn't mean the dental care is poor. It's just dental care is dental care, and it's just not, you know, a fun experience. But let's hear from them.
What they did to me yesterday was when I got there, they took off my crowns and they had to fill what was destroyed during the taking off of the crowns. So yesterday they put some filling in, rounded it out so it feels more like the proper structure for a crown. And they put temporary crowns on my uppers. Today they're gonna do the bottoms. They gotta do what they did all up here. These two, shave these back molars down to make a bridge for my gap.
So yeah, yesterday was a bit rough.
It's gonna be yesterday, but a little less today.
So basically, what happened last time is he needed so many permanent crowns that they didn't have time to make that many in a week. So he got permanent temporary. So like the ones he had on would last up to a year. And so they were put on like regular crowns. So getting them off was a difficult process. So if you have the time, if it comes down to where you're here and you need that many crowns, we would recommend adding additional days to your stay and waiting for those permanents instead of getting those temporaries, because getting those temporaries off was a little bit more than we thought it would be. Like this time, Colby needs, I think, 8 crowns, and we've asked them to please make sure that 8's a reasonable number. They can do that in 1 week. So we're hoping that that will be able to be done in 1 week for him, so we don't need those temporaries, so he doesn't have to come back and get the permanents. But I already said if we needed to add a day on, we will, because getting those temporary crowns was a difficult process.
So yesterday was my first big day at the dental place. The day prior, all I did was get a whitening, but yesterday I had 5 teeth worked on, 5 out of the 8. I can't mentally do all 8 personally, so I'm gonna ask them to hold off on these 2 here and do them in America. Today we're supposed to do the root canals for these 2 teeth up here that are infected. Those need to come out. They did the one back here. This one was also infected. That one needed to come out, so I'm okay with that. If I feel as if we push back on these teeth, then we should be able to get everything done before, to where we don't have to hold back for any longer. And I just can't sit in the chair for that long. I'm too antsy to sit for that long. They filed down all of these teeth here. They said, thankfully, the 2 teeth here don't need a root canal.
Yay!
Originally, it was gonna be 8 root canals with 8 crowns. But luckily, these two back here don't need root canals. They still need crowns, but they don't need a root canal. So we can save these. They weren't able to save the one here nor the one down here. The infection was just too bad. The cavity was just too bad.
So you need root canals on all those?
They've already done the root canals.
Oh, okay.
They did those yesterday.
And the lady who does the root canals is really good, isn't she?
She is. The second that she noticed that I had pain, she immediately, first she apologized, she said sorry, and then asked, where does it hurt? And then she would touch. And the second I would throw my hand up, she knew that it was very sensitive by the cavity, and she just said, okay, and took the numbing stuff and applied it directly to the nerve, like directly on the nerve. She said it's gonna hurt, but it'll be okay. And because I knew that, I was able to just sit through that. It hurt, but for only like 4 seconds, and then I couldn't feel anything for the rest of the day. But I'm supposed to go back and get these done, and should be getting my impressions for these teeth to get my temporaries, and then maybe, I believe tomorrow, I'm supposed to get my permanents. We'll find out.
Maybe probably Friday you'll get your permanents.
Maybe Friday. We'll figure it out.
All right, ready for another day.
Ready.
Okay, time for another update on the teeth. Now we have switched resorts. So what we are doing this trip is me and Jason are making travel videos like we always do, and the boys are getting their dental care. So we spent our first 3 days at Hard Rock Cancun, and now we have switched to Hyatt Ziva Riviera Maya. So I will link those videos down below so you can have an idea of places to stay when you're in Mexico if you decide to do this dental care. But let's do updates. Okay, Colby, how did yesterday go?
Yesterday was hard. I had to do estimated 4 root canals. Luckily, one was able to be saved. Technically 2, but the second one, there was too much tooth missing where to reconstruct a enamel rod, they needed to remove the nerves to where it wouldn't hurt me later on down the line. So I had 3 root canals. It took about 3 hours. Then she reconstructed most of my teeth, and then I went to go get them reshaped. I got everything done on the right side, and I told them to hold off on the left because it was very hard for me. And we're going to go back today. They're going to finish the left side of my face. We're going to get the impressions, and we should get the crowns soon after.
Hopefully we can get crowns tomorrow.
Hopefully we can get crowns tomorrow.
So yesterday was a very easy day. It's exactly what I expected. They needed to file down my very back molars on the bottoms just so they can ready a bridge. And they reconstructed these 2 over here like they did over here. Took about 3 hours for my day. I came back not hurting at all.
Yeah, Cameron was in a good mood yesterday, hung out with us at the resort, ate normal food.
I ate a burger last night.
Ooh, so that tells you your teeth are feeling better, huh?
Yeah, that'll be different today because crowns are different. Today they will be doing, they will be putting on my crowns. And it's not as simple as just, here's a little bit of glue. No. They have to make sure my tooth is completely dry. Nothing is touching it. Nothing wet is touching it while they cement it. But also they need to put in both crowns, make sure they fit well, bite well before they fully cement it to make sure it has a good smile. Mm-hmm. It was time consuming, but it's worth it. So I have my teeth feel natural.
Yes. So let's see your temporaries one last time.
My horse teeth. My ugly teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Those are temporary.
Temporaries.
Yeah, not even impressions. It's just literally just filling.
Yeah. So today's the big day for you.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you get all your crowns on today, and tomorrow will just be a day off then.
Theoretically, yes.
Fingers crossed. Well, unfortunately, the only time we're getting to visit with our boys is in the morning before they go to the dentist, or in the evening when they get back. And in the evening when they get back, they really don't want to talk. So this is kind of like our time where we can sit and ask the boys how things are going and visit with them. But today is the last day of the dental appointments. So let's see what happened yesterday.
So yesterday, I expected it to be my last day. I was expecting to go in. They put on my crowns, see how they fit, how they work, how the bite feels. Am I happy with the design? Am I happy with the color? And then if I'm all good with that, they'll sit me down, numb me, and cement it. And that was going well until they started struggling with one of my bridges, and that caused them to not be able to put that bridge in. They said they were going to fix it, and so I sat in the office for about an hour and a half for them to pull me back and tell me they can't finish my crowns today, which was frustrating because it's not just one bridge. They have to, because it's this bridge here, there's another bridge that needs to go up top here, but they don't have that one in, so they can ensure that bite works well with the both of them. And so now I have to get, instead of one bridge, I now have to get both my bridges, which will numb this whole side of my face. As well as there was a mistake with 2 other crowns up back here. So 3/4 of my face will be numb today, just like yesterday.
Well, let's see the ones that you've got in, how good they look. Those are permanent crowns. Look how good it looks. And when you're talking about how many teeth are you having crowned?
17.
Yeah, so there's a margin for error, unfortunately. But we're gonna be done today.
Hopefully.
You should be in and out in a couple hours today.
A couple hours, yes.
Yes.
I'm sure they'll do what they did yesterday, put on those bridges to see how they fit, how the bite works. So they can just do all that work while I'm unnumb, so they can pop it out, drill it, pop it back in, make sure the bite works well with all of them. And then when they're ready, they'll numb me, dry my mouth, cement it, and all that jazz.
And what have you been eating this entire
Sponsor them, ensure.
This is so funny because the boys have gone to the pharmacy and bought the pharmacy out of these Ensure bottles.
Yes, we have. This is the first. The pharmacy we went to is the one right next or down the road. Mm-hmm. I bought a good handful of them the first day. Then me and Colby went yesterday. Bought almost all of them. And then the other day I went to a different pharmacy and bought all of their Ensures, which wasn't a lot. It was like 4. But
Sustenance.
yeah, because when your mouth is sore, numb, hurts, you don't want to eat anything. Finding stuff soft in a resort is difficult. But they do have the mini fridge.
Yep. How was your day yesterday?
My day was very simple. I went in, and just as he said, he was shaving down these 3 teeth over here. Then they numbed over here as well to do some last minute shaping and drying. They put that disgusting rope in my mouth, which dries my mouth out. It's like chemically dries your mouth out, so my throat was sore. My throat is still sore today, it was so dry. And then they ran the scans of my teeth. So something that I noticed that I thought was really cool is how my impressions were done back in America. Whenever I had my braces, they had like some goop in a tray and shove it into your mouth.
It makes you gag.
Here, they get a 3D scan and 3D print
Yes.
your teeth, which I think is super cool.
I love that too.
And so today I'm supposed to go in and they're going to take off this crud and put on my crowns.
Crud meaning temporary.
Yeah, the crud is this like plastic acrylic around my teeth to keep them protected from outside resources. It feels like a little slab of plaster on my mouth, so that's why I call it crud.
So you had to have root canals on a couple of your front teeth, right?
Yes, on these 2 right here.
But they're not crowned. They filled them and they look good.
Yeah.
And they feel good?
Yeah.
Good.
It was the front ones were the easiest process. I had 3 root canals done all at once. There's 1 back here and 2 here. With how long it took for this one, she did both of these in the same time.
Because they're easier to get to.
Yeah. So what they do is that here's the tooth. Let's say this is the top of the tooth with the gums that come up behind it. Just pull the nerve out, fill it. It's that simple. Versus a molar, they have to drill into the tooth, pull it out that way.
Yeah.
So it's much easier on the front one. So took no time at all.
All right.
But yeah, I should have all my crowns and I'll have a pretty smile and it'll be over.
Okay, so we have made it back from the dentist trip from Mexico, and I got one thing to say, that these guys right here have impressed me so much with how tough. These guys are tough as nails. I got to see firsthand what these dudes went through. Now see, me and Elisa got a little cleaning done. Look at that, look how good our teeth look. And that's just a small taste of what these guys went through, and that was plenty for me. That's all I wanted to deal with, because I got a little sensitive in a couple of spots, but man, how cool is that? Look at these guys' teeth. Look at their teeth. So much better.
Yeah, we made it home. We were too tired to do this final recap in Mexico. And we had an early flight today. So we said, well, we'll just wait till we get home and do it then. So we are home, and I want to get the final review from each of the boys of their entire experience getting dental work in Mexico. All right, Colby, since this was your first experience, how did it go for you?
It went very well. As we stated previously, we discovered when we got to Mexico that almost all of my dental problems were from previous dental trips from the dentist we had growing up. So after a lot of extensive work, 8 root canals, 8 crowns, and a handful of fillings, I now have all new teeth. I have a functioning bite. And we got Chick-fil-A on our way back, and I was telling Mom and Dad that my crown actually feels like a tooth for once. The crown that I used to have felt like a wall. It was flat. It didn't feel like a tooth. It felt like a crown. These actually feel like teeth, which is very nice. I have a good bite. I'm still swollen and sore from the trip because I had some last minute work done at 7 o'clock this morning. Very, very early. We were there before any of the dentists were.
Yeah.
He shoved the tooth in, he drilled it down, made sure the bite was good. He wasn't willing to let me leave until the bite was good. He was being quick about it, but also thorough about it, because he didn't want me to come back in 6 months just because my bite wasn't good. Overall, it was a very good experience, and I do recommend it for anybody who needs some dental work done. It was a great experience. My teeth look better than they ever have, and it was very extensive work, more than I could have gotten probably here over the span of 2 years.
Right. So I mean, it's grueling. It's grueling. It's not fun to go to the dentist office for 6 days straight. Let's be honest. But if you have to do that, you can get it all done in 6 days if you're willing to put yourself through that. And these guys powered through and did it. And I couldn't be more proud of how they did that. They never complained once to us. I'm sure they screamed at each other in their own room, vented to each other in their own room. But I got to tell you, they really championed through that. Very impressed. I don't know if I could have done it.
Okay, so Cameron started this journey 6 months ago and is now completely finished.
Yes. So definitely, if you're thinking about getting temporary crowns, going back in 6 months, don't. I wish we stayed the extra few days. My job could wait because I had to go through what I thought was going to be a simple process of taking off my crowns, replacing them, was much longer than I could expect. It was 5 days because they had to drill the tooth in half, take a chisel and snap it in two for each one of my teeth, and then that also filed down some of my natural tooth. So then the next day they had to put filling to reconstruct my tooth, as well as then grind it down slightly, like how you do acrylic nails, so the glue holds tighter because the grit. And then the third day was them trying on the uppers, but then doing the exact same thing to the bottoms. And the fourth day, they put on the crowns as best they could, but then some didn't work, so the fifth day, they finally was able to cement everything. It was a lot of work for something that I thought was simple, but...
I don't think there's anything simple about what you had done.
No, there wasn't. It was a lot of work. But I will say, if you do wish to go through this experience, since I've done both a condo experience and a resort experience, if you're staying for a week, I would recommend a condo or something of that nature, like an Airbnb, because having your own kitchen, going to Walmart, getting your own things that can be soft or less chewy and like mostly soup, then you know what you have, so you can look forward to the dinner. Unlike us at the resort, we had to hope
they had mashed potatoes. They hope that the noodles were soft. We got soup from a room service, and we thought it was going to be soft. It's soup. The carrots were raw. The chicken was hard. It just wasn't edible for us. So we consisted mostly off insurers. While when I was at the condo, I actually ate food.
Yeah.
It's because everything I had was soft.
I got to tell you, I was getting a little bit stressed just looking at them, because you could see a couple of days into it, you know, they're just tired, you know, from getting their mouth poked and prodded and pulled every direction and getting drilled on day after day. You could start to see like the tired in their eyes. They're swollen, but I can't say it enough. They never complained to us. And I don't know a whole lot of people that'd be willing to go through that, but I was very impressed with the outcome of the work.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, everything's gonna hold up well. We feel very confident that it will.
Oh, they were given a 5-year
Quite the
warranty.
experience. They were given a 5-year warranty. That's right. But it's quite the experience. It was a bonding experience.
It
no
was.
pun intended.
So just to talk a little bit about what Cameron said about the temporary crowns, what happened 6 months ago is he needed basically all of his uppers and several on his bottoms needed crowns. And they didn't have time to make that many crowns in the time that we were here. So our options were to get temporary crowns, which temporaries can last, up to a year, but temporary crowns and then come back, or extend our visit a couple more days so they had time to make all the crowns. Well, we were worried about his job not giving him the extra time off, so we were like, let's just take the temporaries. We're coming back anyway because the plan was to get 3 implants, which ended up being bridges. So we said, well, we're coming back anyway, let's just take the temporaries. But what Cameron's saying is, he would recommend if you need that many crowns and they're saying you need temporaries, it's better to extend your stay a couple more days and go ahead and get those permanents instead of getting the temporaries and the permanents later. Okay, let's talk about costs a little bit. So breaking down what the boys needed, the main things: root canals, crowns, bridges. A root canal, this is all according to Google, so this is an estimate here. But a root canal in the U.S. will cost between $700 and $2,500, with an average of $1,165 per root canal. In Mexico, it's $350. A crown will cost between $500 and $3,000, with an average of $1,400 per tooth, versus Mexico is $450 per tooth. A bridge, this is huge. A bridge between $4,000 and $9,650. Okay, so what a bridge is if you're missing a tooth and you have a tooth on either side that's still good, then they create a bridge that's a crown, and a floating crown in the middle, one piece. Starting at $4,000 per bridge up to $9,650. In Mexico, they just treat that as 3 crowns. So $450, $450, $450, or if you need, however many teeth you need bridge. So it's $1,350 per bridge. Cameron needed 3 because 6 months ago, 3 of his teeth were in such bad shape that they needed to be extracted. The plan was to get implants in those. That's why we came back 6 months later. But he's got, like we said, there's something going on in their mouth that is creating problems. And they said that his jaw is not solid enough to hold that implant. So I'm very grateful that they didn't just say, oh, well, an implant costs more, let's do the implant, and don't worry about what happens in the future. They didn't do that. They said, no, you're not gonna be able to, you're not a candidate for implants, so we're gonna do bridges, and they can all be done now. So if we would have done implants, they would have done the rods for the implants on this trip, and then that had to heal, and then 6 months later, we'd come back and they would get the crowns on. So it's saving us a whole nother trip to Mexico. He's completely done. We got 3 bridges done and everything's finished. So the breakdown for Cameron would be 8 root canals. I'm using the average here of, the average of $1,165. So 8 root canals in the US would be $9,320. In Mexico, it was $2,800 for those 8 root canals. And this is what was done 6 months ago plus what was done this trip. Cameron needed 8 individual crowns. In the US, that would be $11,200. In Mexico, it was $3,600. He needed 3 bridges. So in the US, that would be $12,000 for those 3 bridges. in Mexico was $4,050. Now, these are costs without dental insurance. And what I have found out, he does actually have dental insurance. Don't fuss at us about that. He didn't 6 months ago, but he does now. But dental insurance only allows you so many crowns per year. So with all the work he needed, he would have had to wait several years to get all that work done and still would have had to pay out-of-pocket costs for each of those appointments that would still be a lot of money, where now it's all taken care of and the co-pays would have been equal to or more than the out-of-pocket cost in Mexico. The big thing that we're not even talking about here is x-rays. In the US, for the bite wing x-rays, you're looking at $50 to $100, and the panoramic x-ray, $250 to $500 per x-ray. The boys probably Cameron had at least 4 panoramics, 2 6 months ago and 2 this trip, and countless bite wings. And they did 3D scans of their mouths too. None of that is charged for in Mexico. It's just part of the treatment. They need those x-rays to see what needs to be done or to make sure the work is done properly, because they do 1 panoramic at the beginning and 1 panoramic at the end to make sure everything that they want it to do is done properly. And they don't charge for any of that, where like when we got our braces on, we had to do a panoramic x-ray for each one in the family, and literally we paid $250 out of pocket, whether you had insurance or not, because we did back then when we all got braces. And then if you go get, dental work done and they do those bite wings, you're paying for those out of pocket, whether you have insurance or not. So none of the x-rays are charged for. And I think that's pretty significant, because that could be thousands more, seriously. For Colby, he needed 8 root canals, so same cost variation as Cameron. He needed 8 crowns, same cost variation. He also had some fillings. Cameron had some fillings. We're not talking about those because that's kind of cost-wise about the same for what you would pay with a copay in the US versus out-of-pocket in Mexico. Total cost for Cameron, not counting fillings, not counting x-rays, the work he would have had, or the work he had done would have been $32,520 in the US, was $10,450 in Mexico. That's less than a third of the cost for a lot of work, and what would have had to be done over the span of a long time was done in virtually 2 weeks. A week 6 months ago and a week this week. Colby, the 8 root canals, 8 crowns, would have cost $20,520 in the US. In Mexico, $6,400. So yeah, we just dropped a lot of money on their mouths, but they're young, they're 21 years old. Their birthday's coming up in just a couple weeks, they'll be 22. This is something that was an investment in their future. They are gonna have great smiles now for the rest of their lives, and it's not something we're gonna have to worry about. They're gonna continue with dental care here in the US. They're gonna get their regular 6 months checkups, get cleanings, all of that, and hopefully not have serious problems going forward. But overall, we had a really good experience, and that's why we were sharing this. The boys, each had their quirks about this and that, and I'm glad that they were able to give you their perspective on it. If you have any questions, just leave us a comment down below. We'll do our best to answer them. I will leave a link down below to the dental office, which is Cancun Dental Design. Also, the Airbnb that we stayed in 6 months ago, and the 2 resorts that we stayed in during this trip. Because I do think that is a great option if you prefer an all-inclusive. That way you don't have to cook, you don't have to worry about anything. Everything is done for you. Cameron did prefer the condo where we could cook and prepare meals ourselves, and I definitely see the pros and cons of both, so it's really kind of up to you what you do with that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it informative. If you have any questions, let us know. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you think this will help someone else, please share. Thank you for watching.
Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, as we post videos just like this one weekly of our travel adventures. Everything from cruising to RVing and all-inclusive resorts. And don't forget to check out our existing playlist. So come along with us on all our adventures. And thanks for watching.